up this morning, saw a world full of trouble now. I thought, how'd we ever get so far down? And how's it ever gonna turn around? So I turned my eyes to heaven.
This is Matthew West with Do Something. You're listening to Mornings with Lone Star. I have a special guest in the studio. It's 9:16. I have Gordy Bunch and his field director. That's such a cool title. Field director, Jason Rocha. Welcome, guys, to Lone Star in the Mornings. It's a very special occasion to have you guys in here. If you don't know, if you're listening right now, you have no idea who Gordy Bunch is, that's because you don't vote. Because if you don't vote, then you stink. That's basically how we're going to sum that one up. But yes, if you didn't know, Texas Senate District 4 is coming up May 10th to vote for. Early voting on the April 28th. So we have Gordy Bunch, one of the guys running for that position of Texas Senate District 4. Am I saying this all correct?
That's correct, Dick, and thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here and taking the time. If you guys didn't know, we did a little broadcast earlier in the month with you guys, a forum over at the Sam Houston Woodlands area, or I guess the Sam Houston, what do they call it, like remote
the Woodlands
site?
campus for Sam Houston State University.
I always don't know how to correctly pronounce that because Sam Houston's just down the road in Huntsville. But Jason, welcome. You can speak too.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. Okay, so if you guys didn't know, Texas Senate District 4, that goes up. How many times is that seat open?
It's a 4-year position, and we are running in a special election to fill out the remainder of Senator Tommy Williams' term, which right now there's a little over 2.5 years left on that term. And for those who don't know the Senate District and what that encompasses, it goes west of Magnolia and east all the way to Beaumont.
Okay, so that's a huge area.
It is larger than a U.S. congressman's district.
So you've been working?
I have been in 5 counties every day.
Yeah? What's your main mode of transportation then, helicopter?
Yeah, no. It's my Texas Cadillac, the Suburban.
Okay, that actually sounds very reasonable. And you get to hang out with Jason all day, right?
No, we have to divide and conquer.
Okay.
Too much territory.
It's a team effort. Yeah. That's right. So so you're running against 2 other fellows, right? Or I guess it's 3 other fellows.
3 guys. We had a late entry filed on March 10th. So there's a total of 4 for District 4.
When that kind of stuff happens, what do you think when someone has a late entry?
It wasn't a complete shock. The late entry has been on the ballot for the last 20 years. So we figure he's got the signs. He's going to run regardless.
Oh, that's right. Those signs are important. I made that comment. I go, is this going to be a bonfire after the deal? But apparently recycling is the new thing that's in. So
yeah, I'm not sure they're combustible.
And conservative. So
we always got to have a positive outlook on stuff. No, me, I'm just like, let's just burn everything. But yeah, so the folks who don't know you, can you, who are listening right now, can you give them a little bit of background information? You do have an interesting history, especially in the Woodlands, because that's where your occupation is. Yeah,
before I moved to the Woodlands, I was in the United States Coast Guard. I did everything from hurricane and flood relief to drug interdiction, slave trade interdiction, human trafficking, fishery, poultry. So I'd spend my winters in the Bering Sea doing the deadliest catch, and I'd spend my summers in the Caribbean chasing down the bad guys.
That's pretty intense.
It was probably one of the most things I'm proud of in my professional life. When I came out of the Coast Guard, I actually started my insurance career here in Conroe with the Texas Farm Bureau. So I used to insure or be part of insuring every farm and ranch in Montgomery County.
Oh, wow. And now with today, you are an entrepreneur. That's one thing that attracted me to you, because I am too. But you started a company?
Yeah, I moved on and created my own insurance organization, the Woodlands Financial Group, in 2001. I took $10,000 and built it out to a national organization over the last 13 years.
Oh, wow.
So today it is the largest privately held independent personal lines agency in the state and the 5th largest in the country.
Now, 2001, did you expect to run for this?
In 2001, we were dealing with a mold crisis, 9/11, and all kinds of other issues. No, this was not on the radar.
And when did this become on the radar?
I started getting more politically available once our business had matured and gotten to a point where I could step back and give back to the community. And two and a half years ago, I started looking at what I could run for and where I could have a positive impact, and ended up running for the Woodlands Township, which is our city council equivalent. Mm-hmm. And after being there and being effective early, I said, okay, well, once I do what I think I can accomplish here, where can I go next to be effective? And the state senate was the area that I looked at.
Now, do you think that's always a question that people in your position always have, like, where can I go next to help? And is it something more of an ambition, like I want to help on a wider area?
For me, it's really about I wouldn't even be considering what to do next if I hadn't already been effective where I was at. So I think for me personally, if you're not effective in what you're doing, you shouldn't be thinking about what to do next. So in that short period that I've been serving locally, we've been able to pay off taxes or pay off debt, lower our property taxes, and reduce our spending on items while improving our services. So I looked at that in a nutshell. I was like, this is okay. I've been very effective here locally in a very short period of time. If you take that, what I was able to do with our budget, it could save the state $2 billion a year if I could be that effective at a state level.
Now, would you say this Texas Senate District 4 seat is more of a budgeter seat? Like that's your main job, is to be a really good person?
No, you get committee assignments when you're in the Senate. What Senate District 4 represents is probably one of the largest economic impacts on our state and in our country. You have 20% of all unleaded gas refined here. You have 30% of all diesel, 100% of our military aviation fuel, 100% of our military assets that are deployed in theater are going through Senate District 4. When the Keystone Pipeline comes online, our output of energy is only going to increase. When the ports get expanded, the increased traffic that will be coming from the Panama Canal is going to make us the number one import-export area in the country. So when you have the largest energy production and the largest port, you have an impact not only on our state but on our entire country.
Yeah, guys, I think a lot of the residents in Montgomery County don't realize the impact that's going to be coming up in the next 10 years, especially with the Keystone Pipeline. I know it even affects people in Conroe. And
it's going to affect everybody, and Montgomery County is looking at doubling its population over the next 20, 25 years. You know, we have massive infrastructure development that needs to occur in advance of that. The issues in Montgomery County are different than they are in Jefferson County, and I call it the tale of two cities. In this area, we have low unemployment, and we have a booming real estate market. On the east side of the district, we have up to 16.5% unemployment and excess housing. So you really need somebody who understands economics and the ability to develop growth and jobs and homeland security, because when you look at how strategically important this area is, it is a homeland security area as well.
Because I can't imagine what it's like going from working at the township and then going to the Senate. Because that's one thing that always interested me in politics is what really your job entails. Because a lot of people can't tell you what a senator does. The only thing we really get are movies and silly shows that kind of just like, oh, it's really dramatic and they sit and vote on stuff. But
it's a little more involved in that.
Oh yeah, I imagine. I'm just because just the average person doesn't really know. And one thing that I always wondered is where you get all the information, because to me that's really what it is. Like, you got to get the right information in and be able. I bet you read a lot and listen a lot, because that's the only way you can absorb this kind of stuff to make an informed decision on important things. Like, you seem very informed in the last 3 minutes what you told me. I was like, I didn't even realize how important this county is to the state and also to the country. Because I mean, when you're in the top 3 of something, you got to be informed.
Wasn't Montgomery the birthplace of the Texas flag?
Yes, it was.
So we already are important to the state just for that fact. And we have we have the world headquarters now for most oil companies coming to Montgomery County, South Montgomery County, or just the northernmost tip of Harris County with the ExxonMobil complex. We are a huge international economic output region, and this Senate district probably has the most impact on our state's GDP and a huge percentage of our national GDP.
We're sitting here with Gordy Bunch, and he's informing me of how important my day-to-day life living here in Montgomery County is, and is important to you guys. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get to know Gordy a little better, and also I have a lot more questions about his Coast Guard days, because when people say Coast Guard, they don't really think of the sex trade and things like that, because that's really I want to know more about that, if that's okay. And when we come back, we're going to listen to some music beforehand. We hear some Granger Smith. Stick around. You guys need to go vote. May 10th is voting day. April 28th is early voting. More information about voting, please visit mctx.org/election. And right now, while you're listening to the song, if you're on your computer, check out Gordy Bunch for Texas.com, and you can read a little bit more about Gordy while we're on our break. Here's some Granger Smith with Stick Around. We'll be right back on Mornings with Lone Star with Gordy Bunch.
Have you ever wandered around a parking lot trying to look like you actually know where you parked? Then you'll love the Mark and Cindy Show. If buying toilet paper with aloe vera is the most exciting thing you're going to do today, then you'll love the Mark and Cindy Show. Even if you haven't tweeted, you'll still love the Mark and Cindy Show.
How about twerking?
Ew. That was one step over the line, Mark.
Well, you said toilet paper.
Look, we want listeners to tune in to the Mark and Cindy Show at 10 o'clock every weekday morning here on Lone Star Internet Radio.
The Mark and Cindy Show, it's like visiting with your best friends for coffee, except we will never stiff you with a check.
And one of us always knows what she's talking about.
Well, okay, but it's still called the Mark and Cindy Show. You know that.
We'll see. The Mark and Cindy Show. Tune in to Lone Star Radio every weekday morning at 10 o'clock.
Let's go to Lukenbach, Texas.
Tired of Waylon, Willie, and the boys? Join me, Gordon Lockhart, for Beethoven, Bach, and the Boys. Every Saturday from 8 to midnight on Lone Star Classical Music After Dark. Symphonies, concertos, and sonatas by composers such as Mozart, Tchaikovsky, and Bernstein. That's Lone Star Classical Music After Dark. Every Saturday from 8 to midnight on irlonestar.com.
You're listening to Lone Star Internet Radio. So this song I've been playing, this Matthew West bumper song, Do Something, that is the theme song. Is that the official theme song, Mr. Bunch?
Yes, it is.
Or is it Gordy? What do you like going by?
I go by Gordy.
Gordy. Now, I got a question for you. I know some people in the past have had official songs. They get in trouble for it. Are you covered? Royalties? Because this is a radio station. I need to know.
No.
No? Okay, then scratch that. We're going to not include that in the archive.
It's unofficial.
It's the unofficial song. I
theme song.
misquoted myself. I apologize to the listeners. It's a unofficial song. You're listening to Mornings with Lone Star. It's 9:32. I'm hanging out with hopeful Texas Senate District 4 Gordy Bunch. I guess he's runner. I think is that what you call it? You're a runner for it.
Candidate.
Candidate. See, I don't know these
running
lingo.
for-
He's
There you go.
candidate. So basically, when you go vote on May 10th or early voting April 28th, he's going to be on the ballot. So
Just think best of the bunch.
there you go. Man, all right. I like it. Best of the bunch. More information on Gordy, if you're on your computer right now, visit GordyBunchForTexas.com. Or if you need more information about where to go vote, what times, all that good stuff, mctx.org/election. That's the place to go. I hope they keep it updated every day. Like I said, May 10th, voting, April 28th, early voting. We're also sitting here with Field Director Jason Rocha. And if I mispronounce it, you correct me.
No, that's right.
Okay, good.
You got it.
Okay, good. So if you guys didn't know, Gordy Bunch, it was with the Coast Guard. Now, the Coast Guard, how long do you have to be in the Coast Guard when you sign up?
They have various enlistments. I was in for 8 years total, 4 years active duty and 4 years in active reserve.
And then in those active duties, you mentioned earlier on the program that you did some pretty important things to today's world. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people don't know about the sex trade, the drug trade, and especially exactly what goes on in between. So can you give us a little insight? Because I'm just curious about like the day-to-day thing of how to handle something that's that big. Because it's big.
Yeah, I mean, as you're in that service, you're going to see all kinds of things. So start off with the first devastating event I went through was Hurricane Andrew.
Okay.
Where you show up and it looks like a nuclear bomb has just gone off in Florida and southern Louisiana, because people forget that it hit both states. That kind of tremendous devastation is hard to take in, but when you're a first responder, you have to roll. So you become a little numb to some things that would be terribly shocking to people. You go from that to Haiti in 1994. There was a coup, and the Haitian government had fallen, and all the Haitians swore that Bill Clinton invited them to move to the United States. So we'd have thousands and thousands of Haitians making boats on the beach out of trees that were not seaworthy, and they would be drowning in front of us because they couldn't make it out to the international line before we could save them. And so if you go back and look up Operation Able Manor, July 4th, 1994, our ship, the Coast Guard Hamilton, was the command ship for that event, the largest life-saving event since World War II. I saw hundreds of people die in a few hours, and we stacked dead bodies as we pulled out these young children, old women that spoke only French. We gave them life preservers, but they didn't know how to tie a knot. And so when their vessels would sink, they would drown. And you can't save them all. When there's more people drowning than there are people on our ship, that becomes a very untenable situation. But the most shocking thing that I was able to experience in the Coast Guard was stepping aboard a slave ship and off the coast of Mexico. Not the kind of slave ship you would expect. Chinese mafia slave ship, has 3 holding tanks. First holding tank would be slaves, boys anywhere between the age of 12 and 22 that would be stolen from random villages throughout China. They speak no English, they have no education, and they're destined for sweatshops and manufacturing or agricultural labor behind the scenes. The next tank over has paid transit. These are educated Chinese that some spoke English, most did not, and they paid the mafia for transit over to the United States. What they didn't know is they had to pay to get off the boat. If they didn't have somebody stateside pay the mafia again, then they get thrown in with the slaves, or they get put into a long-term indentured servitude role. And then the third holding tank is the women, girls I should say, young as 11, oldest might have been 16, raped, mutilated, and being prepped for the sex trade. When you step aboard that scene, you get a little bit of appreciation for how good we really have it here. But then you also get horrified by, this is coming to our country. Where's the demand for this? I thought we already solved the slavery issue in the 1800s, but apparently we have not. And what's more disheartening is when we'd have the director of INS and Border Patrol come over and talk to us, because these are joint ops, they explained to us that we catch maybe 5% of the traffic.
That's insane.
And 5%'s a guess, because who knows what the total number is.
Now, with experiences like this, does this somehow fuel what you want to do with the Senate?
It does. It gives me an informed perspective that others won't have. We talk about border security, and most people put that in the light of illegal immigration. What they leave out, because they're not thinking broad enough, is our border protection is terrorism. It's the slave trade. It's drug trafficking. It's more than just human trafficking or illegal labor transiting across their borders. And if you don't have the broad perspective, you're going to be putting together the wrong measures to try to shore that up. And a lot of it is too that what comes across our borders isn't Mexican nationals. It can be anywhere from Asia, it can be from South America, Latin America. It's not a single country problem, but it is our country that we got to protect. And the border isn't just a land border. We also have the entire coastline of Texas that needs to be protected. And a lot of what we would see is the drug trafficking and the human trafficking folks, they wouldn't come up through the land border. They would beach on our shores, unload their cargo, and then haul out to sea. And nobody talks about that aspect. So we can put all the fences up we want, all the walls up we want, but if we negate our own ports and our own beaches, we're just pushing it to another area to come in.
Because I guess one thing too with your role running, it's about how effective can you be and produce some accountability and results, because that's really what happens in the end game. Because it's not about what that John F. JFK asked what you can do for your country, not what the country can do for you. And I think when you think about that, especially your expectation of your role, a lot of people aren't informed what the Senate does and like what does border control have to do with your seat. And no one really connects the dots, and it's interesting because of how, like what you just said, not just the actual land borders, but also the Coast Guard, and how important our role here in Montgomery County actually affects that. So you guys, listeners, if you don't know what's going on right now, I'm hanging out with Gordy Bunch, not Gordon. I apologize, Gordy. He's running for Texas Senate District 4. You guys need to go out and vote May 10th, and early voting April 28th. More information at mctx.org/election. But see, that's the people don't really think about how important voting is because of what your position at the Texas Senate affects here.
I think Houston is number one in the country or the world for human trafficking.
Houston's number one in the country for human trafficking and slave trade, and it's just south of Montgomery County.
If you connect that, people won't ever be like, "Oh, I'm voting for that." Like I didn't know that's what I could help prevent or things like that. I mean, it's amazing how much stuff goes involved into voting. Just a single vote, how important it is, especially in this country.
Yeah, the state senate affects everything from the highway you drive on to the school your kid goes to making sure that the natural resources that we need to survive long term, like water and the agricultural industry, is sustainable. Your livelihood depends on who gets elected to these positions. And it's not just, I don't want to live in a country where it becomes about how much the government can provide to you, but what you can really achieve through having the structure in place where you can rise above your current standard if you choose to put out the effort. And there's too much going towards how much can the government give to you versus how much can you provide and produce for yourself. And I think that's one piece of the puzzle that we're trying to work on here.
And in one aspect, too, a lot of people don't realize is you would have 4 years.
Actually, I would have 2 years and a few months, depending on when we get in, and then I'd be back up for yet another 4-year cycle.
For re-election, yes.
Because we're running for the remainder of the current term, which we'd be up again in 2016.
Because that's one thing I would ask if, during the forum is you have 2 years, what can you realistically accomplish in those 2 years? Because there you need to have something that is tangible for me as a voter, and that's what I would want to know.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things I can do in a very short period of time. We have a coastal windstorm insurance program that's bankrupt. The Commissioner of Insurance has basically called it insolvent and financially unstable. I can get that fixed next year. It takes somebody who understands how the sausage is made to fix the problem, and I make that kind of sausage, so that's one I can put on the list for sure. Ending diversions for our TxDOT funding, we can get that knocked out next year. Things like eliminating the franchise tax, that just comes down to what's the composition of the Senate, how do the November elections turn out, and if we get enough business people elected, I think we can get that knocked out in short order. People ask me all the time, politics is the art of the possible. I believe in the impossible, and I believe one person can have an impact and one person can be effective. So you got to start with that. And I don't have unrealistic expectations that everybody's going to jump up and clap and do whatever I say when I show up in the Senate, but I'm not going to give up on what I think's right. I'm tenacious and persistent, and I will get done what I need to get done. If not, I'll fire myself.
That would be interesting. But I wouldn't do that right out the gate. But people, like I said, vote May 10th, April 28th is early vote. I'm going to keep repeating that until people tell me to shut up about it. And then mctx.org/election. We're hanging out with Gordy Bunch, Texas Senate District 4. More information about him, Gordy Bunch for Texas.com. We're going to take another quick break before the Mark and Cindy Show. I want to come back with Gordy and Jason and just say thank you. And if there's any last words they want to have, I'll let you do it. But we're going to listen to one more song. Here's some Sammy Kershaw, Labor of Love. We'll be right back on Mornings with Lone Star.
Ever wonder what's going on in the business community? Are you looking for ways to get plugged in? Cassandra Roshan here, Director of Membership Development with the Greater Conroe, Lake Conroe Area Chamber of Commerce, and I would like to invite you to tune in to Chamber Chat. Tune in the first Tuesday of every month at 11 a.m. so you will be in the know for all Chamber happenings for the month. Each month, the Chamber offers 2 free lunch and learn sessions, a networking breakfast, business after hours, membership luncheon, as well as many other special events throughout the year. I will give you a rundown of all programs and events for the month, as well as interview our speakers and hosts of these events. So grab a cup of coffee and tune in to Chamber Chat the first Tuesday of every month at 11 a.m. Chat with you then.
Lone Star Internet Radio is now bringing you the weekly business hour show each Monday morning at 11 a.m. My name is Rick Schisler and I will be your host. Each week we will be bringing you local, area, and national business news that you can use. The program will also feature an interview with a local or national business person who will share their own experiences, successes, and failures in operating their businesses. Our show is for anyone who already owns a business, whether they work solo or have employees, and for those who are thinking about starting their own businesses. A bit of information about myself. Again, my name is Rick Schisler, and I am a Silver Fox advisor who has over 40 years experience as a serial entrepreneur. As a part of our show, I will offer some advice and encouragement on our monthly topic, and I will take your questions by email at rschisler@silverfox.org or call into the station at 936-647-3776. See you on the radio Monday at 11 a.m. for the weekly business hour.
That was Sammy Kershaw, Labor of Love. You're listening to Mornings with Lone Star. It's 9:46. I'm hanging out with Gordy Bunch and his field director. You got to say that with some force. Field director Jason Rocha. And thank you guys for coming in the studio, telling the listeners a little bit about you, Gordy. He's running for Texas Senate District 4. Gordy Bunch for Texas.com for more information. Make sure to vote May 10th, and early voting is April 28th. Check out mctx.org/election if you do not know where to go vote or all that good stuff. Now, Gordy, I want to give you an opportunity to say whatever you want to say that's on your mind. And if it's about Taco Bell breakfast, you can talk about Taco Bell breakfast. Or if you want to talk about something a little bit more serious, you're more than welcome to.
Well, you bring up Taco Bell breakfast. That translates into my kids because they were the first to notice the new signs. Oh, look, Taco Bell has breakfast now. Yeah, literally, what I'm about and what I'm trying to accomplish is I grew up in a country that had the American dream at the forefront. And the expectation from my parents and my grandparents is that I would achieve and move beyond what they accomplished. And I'm concerned that that's not the narrative that we have out there today for our kids and our future grandkids. So I have 3 boys, 7, 9, and 14. I've been married 19 years. Michelle and I are really concerned that our kids are not being encouraged or shown that American exceptionalism and the American dream is still alive. And so part of our goal as parents is to make sure that we launch them into an environment that gives them the same opportunities that we had when we grew up, and also sets the expectations that, look, having hard work and your faith and being part of society and contributing to your community is our expectation for you, and for all kids, that we need to re-engage that discussion. So our campaign theme is our greatest generation should always be in our future. And if you go back and you think about it, the greatest generation never complained about anything. They showed up. They worked, whatever the job was. When our world was at war, they showed up, man and woman. The women were in the factories, the men were in the field. Today, I don't see it that much. I don't see that we have the current generation stepping up or looking at how can they contribute to our country. I hear a lot of what's in it for me and how do I get ahead versus how do we all get ahead? How do we contribute? So that's really one of the motivations is I still believe in the American dream. I still believe that we can turn around this narrative and rebuild our American exceptionalism across the board. We want our kids to inherit work ethic and faith, and a belief in our country as being the best country in the world. And if it needs to be defended, we want them to know that's their obligation. My grandfather was in World War II. My dad served during Vietnam. I joined during Gulf War I. If there's an issue that's facing our country, step up. And today I see the issue as our out-of-control federal debt. You take your local debt, your county debt, your state debt, your unfunded liabilities, and I see a lot of our issues as internal at this point. And so I'm going to step up and take what I've learned and the experiences I've had and make sure that I, defend our state and defend our country from the inside.
Well, Jason and Gordon, thank you so much for... Now, Gordon, why do I keep saying that? Gordy, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, let me tell you real quick. So,
okay, good.
So there's no Gordon in my name.
No Gordon. I'm an idiot.
That's all right. That's all right. Gordy is for gordito, which means fat boy in Spanish. And I became skinny, and you can't go from gordito to flaco. So my mom just started calling me Gordy.
Okay, Gordy Bunch.
Yeah.
Folks, not Gordon. Gordy Bunch. Texas Senate District 4, Gordy Bunch for Texas.com. Jason and Gordy, you guys are welcome here anytime at Lone Star Internet Radio, so hopefully we will hear more about you. If you want to come back in, y'all are more than welcome, like I said. We got the Mark and Cindy show coming up next at 10 o'clock. They are going to have a special guest. I think Mark's brother's going to be here. That's what he just told me. So make sure to go out and vote May 10th. April 28th is early voting. mctx.org/election for more information. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to listen to some Ray Johnson Band with Crush. You're listening to Mornings with Lone Star. We'll be back.
Hey everyone, this is Tina, your host from Retro Saturdays. I wanted to invite you to visit the Lone Star Studios here in downtown Conroe, Texas. We're all volunteers here, and we need your help in serving the Montgomery County area. Radio media is a fun field to be in. Lone Star Internet Radio serves Montgomery County with news, current events, local programming, and of course, music. If you are interested in volunteering and sharing your talents in media, go to irlonestar.com and let us hear from you. Lone Star Internet Radio, serving Montgomery County from the heart of downtown Conroe.